Friends, Brent Deverman here. I am trying to solve a problem of getting more drive space on my MacBook Pro. It's 2 terabytes, but I've already filled it all up. And I've been hearing on the ATP podcast about John Syracuse's program called Hyperspace. So Hyperspace is an app that will scan your hard drive and find files that are exactly the same and use a little trick of the macOS file system to link them as one file, which allows you to reclaim the space. And it's a nice little trick of APFS is the file system. And I know that I have tons of small little files that are exactly the same with a lot of the development work I do. And so I wanted to experiment here, and I did a scan. So, and I'll go through it. The hypercritical.co/hyperspace is the URL to download the app. It actually is a Mac App Store app, even though it does some pretty low-level stuff with your file system. So that's kind of cool that you can release it in the Mac App Store. And I have it on the left here, where I have the Hyperspace app, and you can just select the folder and have it scan it. And I'll go through some of the options. He's pretty conservative on what it lets you do at first. So let's jump into the settings here so we can go through them. It has a minimum file size of 100 kilobytes. I think I can actually decrease this to 0 and save a lot more space, but I'm just doing a test right now. And it will also look at what kind of file types are allowed. So I use the defaults here of mainly just the document files of audio, images, things like that, zip files. You can switch to allow any file type and probably reclaim more space, but you know, it's at your own peril. Hopefully enough people have used this, and I don't think there's any big defects on it, or I would have heard about it. You can have then a way to just send the files that are reclaimed to the trash or reclaim it immediately. I turned this on. And I also didn't want to have, since these files are exactly the same, I didn't want to have my backups triggered, so I also turned on restore folder dates. These are all paid features. I've paid for this. It can be $10 for 1 month, or $20 for a year. And there are also subscription options as well. You have some interface stuff, so you can get notifications when it's finished. And then there's some advanced stuff, which is stuff to pay attention to here if you want to save more space. So I had it scan inside packages, such as packages being application files or some other files, and I asked it to reclaim the space inside those packages as well. So it is probably making changes to things like iMovie or whatever, but if there's shared resource files between various apps, I would like it to reclaim that, and so I included that. Also, the photo library. I'm not sure that it found too many duplicate photos because I do use the duplicate photo feature of the photos library. So after scanning, I'm not sure if I'm there. I did want it to look in my iCloud because I actually have iCloud, like my desktop, my iCloud folder, and everything synced there. And I allowed it to go into my library folder too, which is more of a danger zone, but I wanted to live on the edge. So then once I've selected this, I ran it, and it showed me a few errors in the scan. So we can go through and see kind of what errors it might find. So there's some folders that it has problems where it's not permitted to scan, like the address book and FaceTime application and application support. So it missed these, but I mean, I guess I didn't look in it too deeply to say, oh, I really care that I want it to be scanned. I did then. Once you have them to scan, you get to review the files. So click review files and it will show these files. And so I had a long list of files here. But since I've done the scan and I've reclaimed the space, they're gone. You can see though that it shows you the source file. If you click on it, it'll show you the identical files. And it's checking with like an MD5 checksum, SHA checksum, various checksums. So I use like multiple checksums. So it's like absolutely sure it's an identical file. And one thing that was nice though is I found that I had a large language model in 2 different applications. And I think the file name was different of that large language model, but I was able to link those together because the contents of the file was exactly the same. This made it so I could save, a gigabyte just on a large language model, saying, hey, these are the same file. Don't store it twice on my disk. And when I did that, I got the big savings. And so you can see here, you can export the report. You can view the files. These were some of the files that it failed on, and they're in a development repository that I was using. We can click review files, and we can even try to reclaim the space again, which would be 2.8 megabytes left to reclaim. So let's see. It looks like it again had a problem with the files. You can view the errors here, and you can see that it says flag mismatch. So not exactly sure which flag is wrong here. I don't know why, but these files are not that big, and I'm going to just skip it and say, okay, it's fine. We'll live with it. But I mean, in the end, I originally, as you saw previously before I did the reclaim, I originally reclaimed like 6 gig. So 6 gigabytes is pretty significant, and I think I will play around a little bit more with ways to save more. And you can even go on to the FAQ and figure out other ways you can save more, with more file types and lowering the minimum size. Of course, that's all going to just take longer to do. But I think it might be worth it in the end because I did do a test on one of my backup drives with with the setting of minimum file size set to 0 and all file types. And I did a scan on that backup drive, and it was getting up to 26 gigabytes of savings. So I didn't want to do that on my main drive, just in case, but I might attempt that later on. And then if I do get a bigger savings, I'll report it in the comments. So if you have tried this app and if you've had success or problems, please put it in the YouTube comments, and then we can discuss on strategies to save space on your drive. I think this is quite a good app because, I do use other techniques to delete old large files I have and try to prioritize the files, but I have thousands of small files that, just end up adding up. And I think this is a good way to combine those small files, especially if you code a lot. You can get, a lot of the same Node.js packages. And this is a way to just combine them all and say, hey, these are all the same packages, the same files. Just, note that on disk and give me more space back. So I think it's quite a good way to work. And I'm pretty happy with the program, quite fast to scan. And I think that it did save me some space. So let me know if it saves some space for you, and I'll talk to you next time. Thanks a lot. Have a good day.